Hello, lovely friend. I am Dr. Mary Barson.
And I'm Dr. Lucy Burns.
We are doctors
and weight management and metabolic health experts.
And this is the Real Health and Weight Loss Podcast. Hello, lovely friend. Dr. Mary here for another episode of the Real Health and Weight Loss Podcast, joined by the gorgeous Dr. Lucy Burns. How's it going, Lucy?
I'm very well, thanks, Maz. Very well. As I'm recording this, I have a sleeping puppy. So my puppy, Sunny, is getting older. I have been joking that she's Jack Russell cross piranha because she's been biting everything, my shoes, my arms. I'm covered in scratches. But she is growing, and that is becoming less and less of a very unattractive trait that she's developed. So, yes, happy days, happy days.
Happy days. Puppydom is intense, but fleeting. So, yes, enjoy it, but also enjoy it when it ends.
Indeed, indeed. So today's topic, this question we get asked again and again. And so the question is, can I ever eat sugar again? So we thought we'd dive on into that because I think as part of people's reticence to start a low-carb lifestyle is their brain says, but you can never have it again. And we get stuck then in a bit of fear and scarcity mindset. We get stuck in a bit of how am I going to cope? What's my life going to be like without all of this? I don't know if I can do that. That all sounds very hard. So, maybe if I can never have sugar again, well, I don't want to do this, which is understandable.
It is. Our brains are just being human brains. There certainly was a time when I could not countenance going, a week without sugar. I just thought that would be difficult to the point of impossibility. I certainly don't feel that way anymore. So, Lucy, you've given multiple beautiful webinars on this topic, masterclasses on this topic about sugar addiction, what it is and what people can do to help overcome it and what it means for them long term.
Absolutely. So, and again, sugar addiction, processed food addiction, carb addiction, whatever words you want to use is still somewhat controversial. But I think the world is coming around to the idea that there are people who are absolutely addicted, particularly to ultra-processed carbs or ultra-processed food. And it makes sense because, to be honest, the food engineers are wanting us to do that. They spend their time designing the food to not only be hyper-palatable, and what that means is our brain loves the taste of it. It also is designed to give us maximal dopamine effect. And interestingly, a third arm that I didn't realize, it's also designed to be eaten as quickly as possible so that you're wanting to eat as many as possible. So the faster you absorb the food, the faster everything goes through your body, the more dopamine you get, the more you want. So I don't think anyone can deny that's happening in the world of ultra-processed food. The way I like to describe this is the 3-bucket theory I've got of addiction. So the first bucket is, and this actually applies to any addictive behavior really, the first bucket is where the substance or the stimulus is of no interest to you. And, that's the person who looks at cake and goes, oh, I don't feel like it today. And you're kind of looking, going, really? Or the person that takes a bite of something and then leaves it on the bench and forgets about it. They're the person that really doesn't care that much about the food. Or it might be the drink, maybe they don't care. They'll have a sip of champagne at a wedding and really couldn't care less about it. Or they buy a raffle ticket and they never think of gambling. So that's the first bucket. And that's where the food manufacturers tell you should be. So it's not their product. It's the fact that you're not in the first bucket is your problem, is what they would say. The second bucket is the heavy users bucket. And again, this is probably the majority of people that we see. And this is when people kind of get into potentially habits of things like, having a bowl of ice cream every night on the couch, or having a sweet treat, as they're called, after every meal. So you have your lunch and then you have a little bar, you have a muesli bar. Kids get a lot of sort of ultra-processed foods in their lunch boxes, so their brain and palate get very used to the texture and the taste of these foods. We can stop, but it does require some sort of forethought. And it's the same with, again, alcohol, heavy users, not necessarily alcoholics, gamblers. We see this again with really particularly young men these days. They're marketed to within an inch of their lives. They might bet with mates. They're spending, maybe a significant amount of their pay packet on gambling, but they're not in jail and they haven't lost their house. And, there's some harm, but it's not horrendous. And then the third bucket of addiction is where the substance is causing significant harm, but we still don't stop. So that's, again, for food and sugar. It's, someone's got type 2 diabetes, they still don't stop. They're developing obesity, they still don't stop. They've lost their foot, they still can't stop. Alcohol, again, we all know people end up homeless, relationships break down because they can't stop. Gambling, same thing. So that's really that third bucket. So within the ultra-processed food world that we live in, people are obviously we're not seeing anybody from bucket 1. They don't need to come to us. We're seeing all the bucket 2s. And some people who are in bucket 3 wish they were in bucket 2. And it is entirely possible to move buckets. So I think that's really important to recognize. If you recognize yourself in one of those buckets, you can move, hopefully, to the lesser bucket. But you need skills to do this. So the thing about addictive substances and behaviors is that they cause our brain to require and light up with dopamine. And when that dopamine goes, we get like a withdrawal. And so we feel, again, we can feel sad, we can feel cranky, we can feel irritable, we can feel edgy. And what your brain is actually wanting then, it starts talking about wanting the substance again, and you have it. And it's not even necessarily the taste of it, but when you've had it, you get this sort of relief and your brain just goes, that feels good. And so you go, oh, good, oh, thank God. And so we can get stuck into this behavior where we're every day waking up, vowing and declaring not to eat it, halfway through the day, our brain's going, oh God, this is, it's yelling out for this sort of dopamine. And so, all of a sudden a Snickers comes along and you just have it. You don't even know why sometimes, but you just have it and you feel better and you go, good, I'll start again tomorrow, and the whole cycle continues. So certainly having a little detox can be really, really useful. When our brain goes, can I never have a Lindor ball again? If we say to our brain, no, you can never have it again, well, of course it just wants it all the time. So a really useful strategy, I think, can be, I'm just taking a break. I'm just taking a break from it. And there's no fear then for your brain to think never, ever. And there's also a sense of agency because you're choosing to take the break. So it's not like I can't eat, oh no, I can't eat those. It's just I'm having a break. We do this all the time with lots of things. People have a break from social media. People have a break from alcohol. That's all considered fine. But as soon as you decide you're having a break from some ultra-processed food, everyone either tells you, oh my God, you're on a diet. You're not being good again, are you? Or they try and sort of shovel it into you. It's really helpful to have a break.
Yeah, you down-regulate that dopamine.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But you need a little plan. You need to be ready. You need to think about how that's going to look for you. And you also need to nourish your body with real food at the same time. So I think the mistake that a lot of people do is they go on, a traditional diet where they go, right, I need to lose weight, and they cut out all of their ultra-processed food, but they also don't eat enough food either. So they're energy deficient, which is, again, isn't that the catch cry of all those gym bros out there? Calorie deficit. So you're actually hungry and you're trying to downregulate receptors. It's a really unhelpful process, and we often fail.
So you're talking about doing a detox, isn't it, to use that vernacular? So that you take a break from the substance which is causing you harm, in this case the sugar or the carbohydrates. You take a break for a while and your brain is going, to be uncomfortable. It's going to really, really want the dopamine hit because it's been used to getting the dopamine hit. Not getting the dopamine hit, you're going to be uncomfy. But if you accept that, anticipate that, but also at the same time really nourish yourself very well with real food, you're going to be able to ride out that discomfort more easily. So what happens at the end of that detox?
Okay, so you do the detox, you've nourished yourself well with food. We're not worrying about weight loss at the start. The goal is detox, down regulating dopamine. So that is the absolute goal. You just want to get a number of days in a row, even 4 or 5, that'll be enough. That down regulates your dopamine. You go, oh, good. So your brain is less cravey, there's less food noise and less food chatter about the substances because, again, you haven't let hunger cloud the picture either. So the next step is we need to learn the skills to manage our mind that don't involve food or using that substance. So again, a little audit. What was I using that substance for? Sometimes you don't even know, but if you dive deep into it. So, it might be to alleviate boredom. It might be because you're stressed. It might be because you're lonely. It might be because you're sad. All of those reasons. We look and we go, we do a little audit, and then we need to learn some skills to soothe ourselves. And again, this is where your hot tools and cold tools concept comes in, Maz. So for our listeners, can you explain what a hot tool and a cold tool is?
Yeah, so hot tools are things that help us in the moment when we've got the craving is hitting us, the emotions are high. We need something right now to help us regulate ourselves right in this moment. And there's all kinds of tools that we can use to help us in that moment. Some of my favorite are tapping. We teach everyone in Momentum tapping, emotional freedom technique, really powerful. Deep breathing can work. Distraction techniques can work. Make yourself a lovely cup of tea, really focus on that. You can take a moment to ground. There are multiple tools at the moment that will take you out of your emotional brain because our amygdala is heavily involved with cravings as well as, when we're feeling stressed, angry, shamed, guilty, all those things. We're pretty much in a fight or flight response when we've got that craving, and anything that will help just regulate our brain, help get our thinking brain back online so we're not all inside our emotional brain, then that helps. It just knocks down the intensity significantly. It's not like the craving magically disappears or the horrible emotions just magically go away and all of a sudden we're just in some, beautiful state of intense pleasure. That's not the goal, but we reduce the intensity markedly with these simple tools that we can all practice. And then in that state, you are able to make a useful decision, take a useful action, do something that is helpful. That will then, serve your long-term goals. They're the hot tools. You need the tools, but you need them right now. And the cool tools are things that set us up for success, that just generally make healthy change easier long-term. They are things that improve our resilience, improve our stress management, improve our sleep, essentially improve our capacity. Symptoms of craving and high emotion, they are easier to deal with when we've got an improved capacity. So hot tools and cool tools, we need both.
Absolutely. And again, they take time. You don't learn a new language overnight. You don't learn a new tool overnight. And, sometimes I see people go, oh, well, I tried a hot tool, it didn't work. It's like, okay, but sometimes we need to try a couple of times or we try a different one. But again, when we learn how to manage our emotions, how to regulate our how to improve our lability so we're less up and down is what that means, then you get more confidence. And so I used to say that I was addicted to sugar. I think I was. Like I really did. I ate a lot of chocolate, a lot of Maltesers. It was like it came with me everywhere. It's like my shadow. I always had a bag of something in my handbag. I always had something in my drawer just in case. At work was all there. My car was full of wrappers. These days, I can actually have something that's sugary and it doesn't send me off on a spiral. I'm not then, having one dessert and then turning it into a 6-month bender. I never wake up fearing that thing where I think, oh God, I've got to stop this sugar, but how am I going to do it? Like that just doesn't happen anymore. So I think I have probably gone from what I think was probably bucket 3 into maybe bucket 2, but now I feel like I'm in bucket 1. Like I do feel like those people that you kind of hate that go, oh yeah, cake, nah, not today. Or, oh yeah, I wouldn't mind a bit of cake today. And you have a bit and nothing happens.
Yeah. Yeah. I think my story is pretty similar too. I reckon that I probably am in bucket 1 now. I used to have ice cream was my thing, and like just I would need ice cream, especially at the end of a hard day, soothing work, solo parenting, just all of the things, the stress, the overwhelm, the emotions would build up over the course of the day. And as soon as, my bubby was in bed, I'd be there with, my connoisseur of vanilla ice cream or my Ben & Jerry's cookie and cream ice cream, and I'd just shovel it in and it just soothed and it worked, I felt calmer, but it was disastrous to my health. And I remember the first time after I did essentially what was a detox, I was just able to walk past the ice cream aisle and I didn't feel like I desperately needed it. And now I will sometimes have an ice cream, like go out with the kids and we'll get an ice cream, but I don't like it very much anymore. I sort of like, oh, this is a bit disappointing. It's sweet, it's cold. All I can taste is the sweet.
Yeah.
And I don't even finish it. It's just very different to how I was. I think it's important to note that if I do have a day where I have more sugary foods, the next day I can feel a bit cruddy and a few things can happen. The cravings can sort of just wake up a little bit. Also, I've got fluid electrolyte shifts from having dumped a whole lot of sugar in my body. And so I can feel a bit tired and a bit cruddy. So mentally and physically I can feel a bit off, but it doesn't last. If I just know that that's going to happen and I can just let it, ride out, even after a day, it's gone. That's what my experience is.
Yeah, absolutely. I think mine's the same. And again, you and I, we've been doing, low carb for 8 or so years. It's not something that I would be saying to people in the first couple of weeks, oh, well, you'll be fine now. Like it can take a little while and it takes a few goes. Again, when I first went low carb, I approached it like a diet, and I'm very good at I've got very good willpower. I've got very good self-discipline. I can do a diet. That was easy. But, I'd never, ever had trouble losing weight. I always had trouble keeping it off because I had no skills. Whereas now I kind of think, so the detox was easy, didn't really learn any skills initially and had to learn the skills along the way. So I had lots of slips, lots of lapses, but approached them all then with the SLC, the slip lapse creep. We approach with the self-reflection, the learning, and doing it with compassion. And when you do that, suddenly you're learning skills, you're learning more about yourself. It's a wonderful journey of personal development. And what you gain is this feeling of I feel like I have control around food. It's not, I don't feel controlled by food. I just feel in control. It feels effortlessly in control. Like I'm not there, tightly holding everything, thinking the whole world's going to fall apart. I just go, oh, okay. Oh, yeah, a bit like you, we're away. Maybe I'll have an ice cream. And a bit like you, I loved any sort of sugar. But I don't then start thinking, right, well, now I'm going to have ice cream every night on the couch. I just don't do that anymore.
Yep. It's nice, isn't it? It's just, it's just calm.
Yeah. So I guess the answer to the question, can I ever eat sugar again? The answer is most likely yes. You can certainly move buckets, but you need to do it with some skills and some kind of, self-awareness and a backup plan.
Yep. Perfect.
All right, lovely friends. That's it from us. We will talk to you all next week. Have a wonderful, wonderful week. And, may you make the choices that you're happy with.
Bye, guys.
The information shared on the Real Health and Weight Loss podcast, including show notes and links, provides general information only. It is not a substitute, nor is it intended to provide individualized medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment, nor can it be construed as such. Please consult your doctor for any medical concerns.